Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. We're your hosts, Zach Gardner and Jake Gardner,
Hello, everyone.
and today we're going to be discussing the Fantasy Hockey Week 1 action. We're going to go over top performers, top waiver ads, injuries to monitor, and who to keep on your watch list, and some top streaming options for when you're on those Saturday-Sunday matchups trying to win a league or trying to win a week. And then we're going to go over the best and worst schedules of week 2 to prepare you for upcoming matchups. So without any further ado, let's jump in.
Yeah, and I think you should take the top performers just because I can't say names. So,
Okay, if you have anything to add, just kind of, I'll give a
yeah,
couple seconds between guys, just if you want to add anything.
for,
But
for sure.
all right, so we're going to start with forwards, our top 5 performing forwards of the week. So coming in at number 1 was Anze Kopitar, center on the Los Angeles Kings with 27.25 points. Really went off this first week. He's definitely going to be one of those fantasy studs, it appears.
For sure.
And then number 2, Steven Stamkos, right wing on Tampa Bay Lightning, coming in at 24.75 fantasy points. And this is in Jake and I's hockey league where we're getting the points from. Our league is a head-to-head points league, and we're kind of standard scoring, but we have some hits and block points in there too. So it's kind of like a well-rounded league point wise. And then Steven Stamkos, obviously, a lot of these guys are like fantasy stalwarts who are going to be at the top of everybody's lineup. So it kind of was like it wasn't any crazy performances this week. The number 3, Alex Ovechkin, right wing on the Washington Capitals, went off that first game with 22.5 fantasy points for the week. And then number 4, not a surprise to anybody, Connor McDavid. He's probably going to always be on a list like this every week. Center on Edmonton Oilers with 21 fantasy points. And then kind of the only surprise in this whole group of guys, coming in at 5 for forwards, Tyler Bertuzzi, left wing on Detroit, 20.75 fantasy points, and kind of took the season by storm right off the bat. His first game having 4 goals. So he's kind of already like turning heads, and everybody's looking at this guy. I'm sure he's been picked up in a ton of leagues after that first game. Jake, you want to go over defense?
Sure. Defenseman Drew Doughty, 24.75. We were not high in him, so he's starting hot.
Starting out hot, he was definitely, if you listen to our sleeper and fade episodes, he was one of my bigger fades.
Yeah, this might be a sell high moment too, but also week 1, so nobody might be looking to trade. Coming in at number 2, Victor Hedman, 21.25 fantasy points. I don't think that's much of a surprise.
Not at all.
Right. Chris Letang, 20.25 fantasy points. Darnell Nurse, 18.25 fantasy points. So he's kind of leaving or starting where he left off.
So defensemen are so scoring so high in my league. If you kind of think those numbers are kind of high, if you're looking at your league and you're like, what? I don't have them scoring that many points. My league values defensemen a little more. I have 1 extra point for defensemen. So just keep that in mind as we talk about like defense throughout our episodes. We're going off the way our league is set up. So our stuff will still help you pick out good defensemen. It's just they score a little bit higher in my league. So if you're looking at us like, why the heck are they scoring so high? We get a little bit of extra points. So.
Yeah, and then Mikael Sergeichev at 16.75 fantasy points is the last defenseman, the top 5. I don't think he's a huge surprise either.
No, he's not. He's a young up-and-comer. The only thing with him is I don't think he has the highest ceiling just because he doesn't get top-line minutes because he's on the second line when they have Victor Hedman on the first line. So, and I think he gets second power play, but he's a great defender, and I think he has a little bit more of a ceiling on him than some other guys.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think I should take goalies as well, just since two of my goalies are in the top 5. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, dude.
Mike Smith, 20.25 fantasy points. He was a fade for us in our draft, but he also fell like as far as the fade, I think, honestly, because he
Well,
fell
he
like
was a small fade. I just was saying he's not worth like a second or third round pick where they had
yeah,
him
no,
kind of
I got
ranked.
him like he was ranked. Yeah, he was ranked like 36, I think, and I got him super late. Like nobody was grabbing him, so
He
I got
definitely
him.
fell.
I got him
You,
at least 5 rounds later.
you got him at a great spot, so that was there's no problem with you taking him in like the 8th round.
Yeah, yeah. Jack Campbell, who we were down on, 17.25 fantasy points. See if he can keep it up.
Yeah,
Sergei Bobrovsky,
Sergei Bobrovsky.
17 fantasy points. Cam Tailbot, 15.25 fantasy points. And then Frederick Anderson and
Elvis
Elvis
Mertzlikins.
Merchlikins, 14.75 tied for 5th.
So yeah, not really a shock in there. Really, a lot of guys that performed good last year. I had more questions on Jack Campbell just because I didn't know if he would sustain what he did last season. Looks like he might. Honestly,
Starting,
that might have. I was just, that was just something me personally. I didn't feel like Jack Campbell would continue what he did last year, but maybe he will. But we just got to see. It's week 1. Gotta gotta kind of take all this with a little bit of a grain of salt sometimes. But
for sure, for sure.
so those were the top performers at forward, defense, and goalie. So now we'll move on for some injuries to monitor. We got John Gibson, goalie on Anaheim, day to day with a lower body injury, and this is where I start to get in where I can't stand hockey sometimes, where they're so vague with the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
They'll list a guy as day to day, and then a couple days later it'll come out, oh, he's gonna miss like he's gonna 500 days. So it's crazy. He'll either be back tomorrow or he'll be back in like March. So it's just kind of we don't know in hockey sometimes, but we just got to monitor that. It sounds like he's going to be okay, but I'm coming at this even more because I have John Gibson in my league. So I'm just kind of hoping and praying that he'll be back because he looked very good that first game.
For
And then
sure.
Peter Mrazek didn't do good at all his first game, and I kind of had him as a small sleeper, like a dark horse sleeper to overtake the number 1 spot on Toronto. Didn't do good, gets injured. That's just kind of what Mrazek does these days is get injured. He's just an injury prone guy. He's out 2 weeks with a groin injury. So maybe he's a guy you can maybe start dropping and just put on your watch list because it's the beginning of the season. And I don't know. He didn't really look good in that game. Maybe you can start to fade him. Nikita Kucharov left the game with the injury in the third period. I'm gonna see if they updated anything on him. He's still listed as day to day on ESPN.
Yeah, there's no update. I was just looking. They said they had to evaluate him with the team doctor. So
Yeah, so that's just something you got to keep monitoring. It's kind of stinks because you just like to have him be IR eligible. You can just put him on that IR spot and pick somebody up. Right now, you're just kind of playing that waiting game with him.
do you think it was that bad though?
I don't know.
Because
I
there
don't really know
was
what it is. I don't really know
there
how
was
bad it
9
is.
minutes left, so it might have been like they're not gonna bring him back at the end because it might be a
Yeah,
minor thing.
yeah,
That's my hope because I have him.
yeah. And then this is kind of a big one here. First big one. Max Pacioretty, lower body injury, out 6 weeks.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate because he went off with 2 goals and an assist that first game.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna miss 6 weeks. That just makes some other guys are gonna take those minutes. So it's just something you put him on your IR spot and just hopefully you can pick somebody up like maybe Chandler Stevenson or something that's gonna get top line minutes and
Okay.
can pick up some slack for you. But And then also on the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone, but he's day to day with a lower body injury, and it's looking like he's going to be back soon. So maybe early next week, maybe by like Wednesday, he'll be back. So just keep monitoring him if you own him, Mark Stone.
Okay.
So those are kind of like the big injuries. Now we'll go into my top waiver ads. I got about 9-10 guys here to tell you guys about that you can. I think you can feel comfortable about picking these guys up right now at the beginning of the season. So we'll start with the obvious one we kind of mentioned at the beginning, Tyler Bertuzzi, left wing on Detroit. He's up to 75% now. So he's available in 25% of leagues. He's worth a go and check if he's available. He's just proving with that first game, he's a volume scorer. He's put up 4 goals that first game, and he's getting the top line, top power play. He's just, why not have him as like your last guy on a bench scoring that much? Go pick him up while he's hot. He's one of those low risk ads where if he starts doing really bad, you can just drop him later, you know?
For sure.
And then this is a guy that I'm pretty high on for this season, Kirby Dach, center on Chicago. He's at 63% owned now in ESPN, so he's definitely worth a go and look and pick him up, especially if you need some center depth. He's good in multiple categories. He'd be a good pick in any kind of league, scoring league, categories league, banger league, and he's getting some power play time. It's just, he's eventually going to move up to that second line center spot. I just have a feeling that he'll overtake Tyler Johnson at some point, and he'll be centering the line with Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane. Why wouldn't you just get him now, no risk at all? And one of my mantras is it's always better to own the player than looking back in a couple weeks later wishing that you picked him up. You know?
Yeah, no, I drafted him, so I'm all set.
So you drafted him. We're in Chicago, so Chicago guys get drafted more than in maybe other places. But yeah, go take a look at Kirby Dach and get him in. Get him on your teams while he's kind of still relatively low owned. And then next one, Chandler Stevenson, center on Vegas Golden Knights. He's at 35% owned right now, which is pretty crazy. That's got to be shooting up higher at some point, but he's first line top power play. It's like I don't know where you can find another first line top power play guy on a good team that's 35% owned that you can just add for nothing. And he's looking pretty good to start the season. So go pick him up. I feel like he's a high reward ad.
For sure. Yeah, I think he might be available on ours. I'm not sure.
No, Max picked him up.
Okay.
Yeah,
we get a deep league, so
some idiot dropped him. We're not
is it you?
gonna talk more on that.
Nice.
He was my last pick, and I just was reading some stuff about how he might have a down year, and then he doesn't end up looking like that at the first game. But anyways, I digress. Next on my list to pick up, Bowen Byram, defenseman in Colorado. This guy's definitely more of a depth move. Maybe in a deeper league, you'd be picking him up. Okay. He's at 18% owned, so he's most likely available. He is a scorer. So if you're in a defensive league that really where the only way defensemen are valuable is if they score points, he might be worth an ad. A no risk ad. He's the only problem with him though is there's kind of a ceiling on his production because he's not on the top pairing because Colorado is one of the most deep defensive teams in the league right now besides maybe Tampa Bay. And he's not on the top pairing and he's not on a power play, which is pretty insane because he has so much offensive skill, but that's how many offensive skilled defensemen that they have on that team. So he's getting minutes, but he's not getting top line minutes and he's not getting power play minutes. So there's a little cap. You just might want to ride him while he's hot because he might fall off a cliff eventually. But right now he's got the hot hand. So he might be worth, having for a couple weeks right now and just seeing if that can turn into like a whole season breakout.
Wow, yeah, and Max already grabbed him, which sucks
Yeah,
because
yeah. Max grabbed like all these guys.
I need a
Yeah.
last defenseman.
When I was writing this up, I thought that he would have been a great move for you, saying you wanted defense, but then he
Oh,
got
well,
picked up.
that's great, dude. That's awesome.
Next on my list is Niles Hoglander, right wing on Vancouver. Vancouver, I think, is due for a real bounce back as a team this season. And right now, there's an injury to Brock Besser, and Hoglander is. We don't know when Besser's going to be back. He's on IR. They're not really releasing any information on him, so it's another one of those hockey things where he could be back tomorrow or back in April. We don't know. But right now, Hoglander is like the main beneficiary of Besser being out. They have him deployed right now, first line, second power play. He's only 12% owned, and he's getting those top lines and a little bit of power play time. And he's a young up and coming player. He could be a real big beneficiary of getting these top line minutes. Go, scoop him up.
Scoop him up.
And then next on my list, Eli Tolvanen, left wing on the Nashville Predators. He's only 5% owned, so he's pretty much available in every league. He's most likely available in your league. I feel like the 5% of leagues that are owning him right now are like keeper leagues or dynasty leagues. He's deployed right now, second line, second power play. He's got a heck of a shot. He's got a really slick wrist shot. And he really made that power play go last season when they finally brought him up from the minor leagues. He took that dead power play and gave it some life. And they're starting him on the second line, second power play this season. I feel like he could easily work his way up to first line, first power play because there's no other skilled scorer on that team except for Philip Forsberg. And they need scoring. I feel like if they get Forsberg and Tolvanen on a line, that could be a real dangerous line. And he's only 5% owned right now. That's a crime. Go pick him up. He's got tons of skill. He should be rostered, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, I'm missing Nashville, man. I really am.
Oh yeah, we were on a trip there a couple weeks ago in Smashville.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that was such a good time.
For sure.
I digress. That's for the next podcast. Our travels and our travel podcast. So let's tune into that.
Right. Totally.
Next on Lifetime. No, I'm just kidding. All right. All right. I got two more guys on my top waiver ads. So next on my list, Jonathan Drewen, left wing on Montreal Canadiens. He's only 6% owned. He's getting first line, second power play. The power play time is key because that's the only reason he's getting more minutes. The thing about Montreal is they divvy up their minutes between the four lines. They want skilled scoring lines on all four lines. They're giving everybody like 15 minutes. They're giving everybody like 12 to 15 minutes. But he's getting a little bit more minutes because he's on a power play. He's on that first line, which, last year it kind of came out that he was dealing with some injuries and stuff. I feel like Jonathan Drewens is finally healthy, maybe for this whole first season. This could be like a big breakout kind of season for him. And at 6% owned, why not take a chance on a guy that has that kind of scoring upside? He's an easy drop if he doesn't reach that potential. You can have a quick hook on him if you want. It's just I feel like at some point you're going to wish you had him on your team if he starts going off. So go get him while he's available in like every league.
For sure. And will he get more minutes? He's like at 17 or no?
Well, that's the thing. The 17 is actually kind of one of the most on the team because, like I was saying, they divvy up their minutes really evenly. One of the reasons I think you should go grab him is because he's on a power play, and that gives him some more minutes than other guys.
For sure. Okay.
And then lastly on my waiver ads, like must-add guys, I feel like Noah Dobson, defenseman on the New York Islanders, he's at 4%, which I really, really can't wrap my head around. I feel like he just was kind of overlooked going into this season, but he's on the second pairing, but he's on the first power play. He's like the quarterback of that power play, and he's getting 20 minutes plus a game. He's getting the ice time. He's a young guy. He's by far the most He's by far the best scoring defenseman on that team, which is why they have him deployed on the first power play. I feel like getting that 4% is going to be shooting up to well above 50 by maybe next week. So if you need defense, go scoop up Noah Dobson right now before he's unavailable, and you wish you had him.
For sure. Yeah, I think you grabbed him, so I can't even.
I did grab him. So
Son of a. All right. Any other defensemen like you can think of?
So that's what I'm kind of looking at now. Our league is kind of picked clean of defensemen,
Yep.
sadly. There's a couple Buffalo guys that I'm looking at in our league that are available that kind of had some good games. You can maybe take a chance on Gustav Forsling. He's getting some assists. I gotta look. Gustav Forsling. Yeah, he got 2 assists last night, and then he got an assist in the first game. That might be a low risk guy that you can go pick up, Jake.
Okay.
I got some other guys too. Like there's Cam Fowler, Kevin Shattenkirk. They're doing good on Anaheim right now. I don't trust Anaheim, but these guys are getting power play time, and they're those wily veterans. You might be able to get them on some hot streaks if you're really really looking for D.
Nice. Yeah, I'm always looking for D, so this would be really good for me.
But those are maybe guys you could pick up. You could pick up Radko Gudas. He gets you a ton of hits. He bangs.
Didn't you just drop him?
I did drop him. He's
what
available
about
right
Justin
now.
Schultz, dude? He's looking hot.
Yeah,
no?
he's a little old for me. I would kind of fade that. But
okay.
Radko Gudas might be good because he gets you those hits. So he's a pretty consistent hitter.
Okay. Well, we don't have to.
But those are some defensemen. Yeah, those are some defensemen.
Okay.
So now we're going to move on to just keep on the watch list. These are guys that I was thinking about putting on the top waiver ads list, but I don't want to get my messages confused with that. So these are guys that I would not pick up right this second, but I would keep on your watch list because these are guys that I think, kind of had slow first weeks, or maybe, but I think they can eventually be worth picking up in the future. You just got to kind of monitor their situations. So put these guys on your watch list. I'm going to briefly mention each one of these guys. So we're going to start off Rickard Rakell, right wing on Anaheim.
Okay.
He's kind of low owned for a guy that scored 30 goals just a couple seasons ago. He really had a really down year last year, and that's why he's so low owned right now. A lot of people are just fading him because he had a down year and Anaheim is shite.
Okay.
But he's on the first line, first power play. Just put him on your watch list and just see how he's doing the first couple weeks, and he might be definitely worth an ad in the future. And
yeah,
then
you could probably just I was gonna say you could probably just run through these.
yeah, and then Max Comtois and Mason McTavish also left. They're both left wings on Anaheim Ducks. These are kind of deeper league. These are young guys. Mason McTavish, this is going to be his rookie season, and then Max Comtois, this is going to be like his second or third season. These are guys just to keep on your watch list, look for when they start going off and getting better deployment and some power play time and stuff. But these are kind of sleeper guys for sure to keep on your watch list.
Okay.
And then Jeff Skinner, left wing on Buffalo. First game of the year, had a pretty nice game, got a goal, maybe an assist or two. He looked pretty good. We're a couple seasons removed from when he scored 40 goals, and then he did absolutely nothing last year. So he's definitely a guy that I wouldn't pick up right away. Somebody's got to score on Buffalo, and he might be the most offensively skilled guy there right now. But just because he's had a really bad last season, I would just put him on your watch list and see if he's going to be a consistent goal scorer like he was just not long ago.
Okay.
And then my first goalie on this list here, Ilya Sarokan. Keep him on your watch list on the New York Islanders. This guy has been highly talked about for a couple seasons now. He kind of really struggled last year, but that was the COVID year. not the easiest year to be a rookie in the in any professional sports league. But they always talk about this guy like he's the future of the goalies. Like they love him over there on the Islanders, and they're just waiting for him to take that step to be the top goalie that they could just give all the starts to. And he had a decent game his first game. So he didn't go off or anything, but he might be worth just keeping on your watch list so that you can keep updates, get all the updates on how he's doing and everything. It's just a goalie to watch for the future.
Okay.
And then Max Domi, right wing on Columbus Blue Jackets. This guy's getting second line, some power play time. He really went off that first game. I think he had a goal and an assist, and I think he had a power play point. But this guy's burned at people in the past. He's really, over the course of his career, has not been the most consistent guy. But maybe he's in a offensive system now on Columbus where it might benefit him, like because he's a volume scorer type guy at his best. So that's a situation to monitor. Just keep him on your watch list. See if that 7.5 fantasy point first game can continue into some sort of breakout season.
All right.
And then another guy keep on the watch list, Cole Sillinger, center on Columbus. They have him, I think right now he's the second line center. And he's getting, I don't know if he's getting power play time, so that's why I kind of don't have him as like a waiver ad right now, but this is his rookie season. And out of necessity, basically, because he's a center, they have no center depth on Columbus. They're bringing him right up for his rookie season because they have nobody to play center, and he's already like getting second line deployment. So definitely that's something to monitor if you're looking for some center depth. Keep Cole Sillinger on your watch list, and if you're in a super deep league and you're going by position and you need like a center, maybe he is worth a pickup then. Maybe if you're in like a 14, 16 team league, you can Sillinger up right now.
All right. I have a goalie for you real quick.
Okay.
I don't see another goalie on your list, but Braden Holtby on Dallas is doing really well to start the year. What do you think of him?
Yeah, that's something to monitor. He might be actually worth a pickup right now if you're looking to stream. I actually might put him on our top streamer section.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at goalies, and he looks like the only one that's even grabbable right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just talk about him right now. I think he's a streamer. He's a guy that you can pick up when, like, on a Saturday or Sunday, because Dallas is going to be splitting the starts between the three guys.
Okay.
So when you'll want to look, I think he might be a little frustrating to own because he's not going to get a lot of starts. But when he does start, I think he's worth a pickup just to stream to get those points for that day. You know what I'm saying? But then it might be like 4 or 5 days until he starts again. So that's why I'm saying I don't think he'd be a waiver ad, but I think he'd be one of the top streaming options.
Okay. For sure.
So that's actually a good one, Jake.
Oh, thanks, dude.
And then moving on, another guy to keep on your watch list, Matt Grizzlecheck, defense on Boston. This guy might be the best. This guy might be the best handcuff in the league.
Yeah, I got him on my watch list.
Yeah, because when Charlie Mcavoy, he's kind of an injury-prone guy, but when Charlie McAvoy is in, he gets the power play time, he gets the top deployment, he gets the minutes. But if he goes down with injury, Grizzlecheck immediately takes over that exact role, and he usually does pretty well in it. So, but if McAvoy is playing, he's kind of more just keep on your watch list and wait for him to get his chance, because when he gets that deployment, he usually puts up the same statistics that McAvoy does. So Definitely keep him on your watch list. He's a great depth. He's just a good handcuff.
Okay.
And then Brett Pesce, defense in Carolina. So there was kind of like a battle on Carolina for defense for that top power play, that top pairing, and everybody just assumed that it's going to go to Tony DeAngelo, and right now it is. And Brett Pesce's kind of on that second pairing, but he's still getting decent minutes, and he's doing pretty well as well. And I think they're going to have a quick hook if Tony DeAngelo starts to falter. I feel like they'll easily drop him down and move Brett Pesce right up to that first line, first power play.
Okay.
And then he'll definitely be worth being owned. But right now, he's still getting second pairing, and I think he might be on the second power play. So he's still getting some good minutes and stuff. But Tony DeAngelo's in the best spot right now. But if he starts to falter, they're not. They're gonna be quick to move him out of that and get Brett Pesce up there.
Okay.
So he's one to monitor. And then Brandon Hagel, left wing on Chicago. This guy is really this guy's a real deep kind of sleeper guy. He's a third line winger on Chicago, but he does a lot of things. In the categories league, he might be a little bit better of a player because he's good defense. He's got a nice little shot. He shoots the puck a lot. He hits. He blocks. He does everything. If he starts getting on a hot streak, he might be worth a pickup for he might be worth a pickup for a week if he's on like a hot streak or something. But I don't think he's going to be a guy that you will pick up and keep on your team the whole season. That's why I'm thinking just monitor him on your watch list. And then Victor Arvidsson, left wing on Los Angeles. He's getting second line, and he's second line first power play. So something to monitor. I've been burned by him in the past. He's pretty inconsistent, but if he's gonna get continuous deployment, and I think Los Angeles is a little bit more skilled offensive team maybe than Nashville was. Nashville plays a real defensive system, so maybe being on this LA team will be good for Arvidsson. He'll get back to like that kind of high scoring player people thought he would be, but it's just something to monitor. We can't really say right now. He only had one assist in his first game. That's nothing to write home about. But it's just, monitor. If he goes on a big hot streak, he might be worth a pickup.
Okay.
And then next, Alexander Romanov, defense on Montreal. This guy is a young defenseman on the Canadiens. A lot of people think very highly of him. The only problem is they have a very good defense on Montreal, and he's not getting power play time, and he's on the third pairing. So he's getting like the least minutes out of all those defensemen. So he's really not worth rostering unless he's moves up to one of those power plays. So you just gotta wait for that, and then he'd be an immediate pickup if they bump him up if somebody gets hurt or however it may turn out. If they move him up to one of those power plays, he's worth an immediate add.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I dropped him. I don't know. He's just not getting the minutes, and
yeah, that's the only problem with him.
He's just literally just a watch list guy.
The deployment. And then Kasperi Kapanen, right wing on Pittsburgh. Definitely worth putting on your watch list. Might even fall into that streamer category right now, just because Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby are both out right now, and Kapanen's getting top power play minutes, and so right now he might be worth like a pickup on like a Sunday to get you some points. But once Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin come back, he's going to drop down to like the second, third line. So, it's just keep him on your watch list, see how he does. Might be worth streamer category right at this second, but just be watching when Sidney Crosby's going to come back, because that would hurt his deployment.
For sure.
And then moving on, we got two more watch list guys. Michael Bunting, left wing on Toronto. He's definitely a guy worth watching because everybody's wondering who's going to take that spot that Zach Hyman had when he went off last year. And a lot of people think that Michael Bunting could take over that role where he's playing on the same line with Austin Matthews and Mitchell Marner. But it's just seeing if he consistently ends up there. Right now they don't have him playing on that line, but a lot of people think that eventually he could move up there. He's probably one of their he's probably at this point one of their most exciting young prospects that they think could take that next step. It's just when that next step happens. So that's why I put him on your watch list, see how he's doing. Once he gets on that line, that's like an immediate ad.
For sure.
Then lastly, this guy is a bit more of a deep sleeper. Nolan Patrick, center on Vegas. The only reason I have him on here for your watch list is to see if Chandler Stevenson falters. Will they move Nolan Patrick up to that first line in Vegas? But Chandler Stevenson's kind of taken off and running with that first line deployment. Kind of proving them right with putting him there at the beginning of the season. So it's going to be even harder now for Patrick to move his way up there. But it's just something to keep in mind. Maybe if Chandler Stevenson gets hurt or something, once they move Nolan Patrick up to that first line, that's when you'd probably want to start getting him in your lineups.
All right, for sure.
Anything you want to add to any of these guys, Jake, or anybody else you may have noticed?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these were just like 5% owned guys, so they're literally just watch list guys. It's just, I don't know.
At this point, that's kind of, it's the beginning of the season. These guys will be more owned later.
Yeah, there was a defenseman on Detroit I wanted to talk about. Moritz.
Yeah.
Seider. What do you think about him? He's getting like over 20 minutes so far. He has 3 assists in 2 games.
Moritz Seider, he is 11% owned. He's a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the power play. I mean, any defenseman on that any defenseman getting over 20 minutes a game is always intriguing, and especially getting on a power play. And sometimes you can find fantasy gold on bad teams because even bad teams score goals. So, and it's saying that, I haven't really watched much Detroit or read much on Detroit, but he's on the second defensive pair on the second power play unit. You just got to watch the consistency. But if you're desperate for defense, like Jake was talking about, he is, maybe this guy is worth a pickup right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
I like the deployment. Detroit has some scorers on that team where even if he's on the second power play, he'll get you some PPs.
And then what about Jeff Carter, Pittsburgh forward?
So yeah, he's actually, we were gonna be discussing him. He's in our next section, which we're moving on to top streamers. I have Jeff Carter listed there.
Okay.
So he's top line, top power play center on Pittsburgh right now with Crosby and Malkin out. This guy has never been more excited for like good players to get hurt. Like he's getting top line minutes right now. Ride him until Crosby comes back, because if he's getting that deployment, he's skilled enough to take that deployment and he'll score you points. Even at his age, if he's getting those minutes, he'll score. So pick him up and stream him. But once Crosby comes back, I think that he becomes more of a droppable player at that point. But ride him while he's hot right now.
For sure.
And then 2 defensemen that I think you probably won't end up having on your team the whole season, but right now maybe worth a pickup for streaming and just riding them while they're hot. Kevin Shattenkirk and Cam Fowler on Anaheim Ducks. They have 4 games next week. These guys are both getting power play time, and they might actually be like the top line. Both these guys, and getting the top. These might be the 2 top defense on that power play. I don't know exactly what their deployment is, but both of them are scoring some PP points. Yeah, and they do have a good schedule next week, so that's why I think they might be a good streamer for next week while they're hot. Maybe they'll continue that high scoring into next week before they start slowing down. And with 4 games, why not take a chance on some guys like that?
Yeah, definitely worth it in a weekly format like that.
And then top streamer that I have for right now is Jeremy Swayman, goalie on Boston. I put him in here as a streamer, but I didn't realize that yesterday was the first game for Boston of the season. Uh, they didn't have Linus Ullmark start the first game of the season. That was Swayman.
Hmm.
And he actually had a much better preseason than Ullmark did, and I think they might be a little down on Ullmark right now, or at least trying to send a message to Ullmark to get his shit together. So right now, honestly, I haven't listed his top streamer and just pick him up when he plays, but he might be a waiver ad right now if he's going to be the the top goalie.
Looks like you grabbed him.
I did. But yeah, keep Jeremy Swayman on your watch list. Maybe even pick him up if you're feeling froggy. But yeah, I feel like he's definitely a streamer category right now.
For sure.
Anybody else you think could be a streamer category? I know we were talking about that defenseman on Dallas, or that goalie on Dallas, Braden Holtby, as a streamer too.
Yeah, Holtby. A couple other guys. I'm just looking at points scored. Uh, Heinen on Pittsburgh Penguins. Must be another guy filling in. He's got 3 goals in 3 games, so there's just
Yeah,
a couple of
he's
couple of hot
filling in.
players that might not keep it up, but
Yeah,
and
just
if you're gonna
guys.
stream, so just a strategy for people, if you're gonna stream your last spot, you look for a guy. This is the best scenario. You find a guy who's got 3 games, 3 out of his 4 games early in the week, maybe Monday through Thursday, right? And then you look for a guy who's got 2 games over the weekend to stream after that, so you can get out of your last spot on your team, you can get 5 games. That's fantasy gold. So
Yeah, that's good info right there, Jake. That's definitely what you're looking for when you're streaming. You gotta look at those schedules, and a good place you can go to check out schedules. We're gonna get into a little bit of scheduling, but if you want to check it out for yourself, a great little tool for that is leftwinglock.com. They have a really good grid for all the schedules of every week for every team. So that's kind of if you're looking for streamers, we have a few teams playing 4 games next week with lower strength of schedules as well. So that's kind of what you're looking for when you're looking for streamers. Uh, Not a strong schedule and more games played, so that's kind of how you can make those kind of choices. So Anaheim next week has 4 games. Detroit has 4 games. Nashville has 4 games. The Islanders have 4 games. A couple of them back to back. That's when you're toward the end of the week. That's when you're looking for like those Saturday, Sunday back to backs. That's when you can pick up a good streaming goalie. You know,
mhm.
so maybe you'd be looking at Ilya Sarokan for like maybe hopefully they're probably so. What a lot of teams do when they have a back to back, they'll play the backup goalie for the worst team usually of the back to back, and they'll obviously want to give their starting goalie the start against the better team.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a streaming goalie for next week, you could look at Ilya Sorokin at Arizona. That's probably when they would start Sorokin, and they would give, oh god, what's his name? The main goalie on the Islanders.
I don't keep up with the Islanders enough. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of a good point here. Islanders. Semyon Varlamov. Oh, he's actually on IR right now. I
Okay.
did not realize that. Um. Okay, they're talking. I think that Varlamov will be back and getting the start then next week. So they'll probably have him getting the start against Vegas, and they'll have Sorokin playing against Arizona. Sorokin will be a good stream on next Saturday against Arizona. That's what I would think that he would be playing. So that might be a nice little streaming option for you.
For sure.
And then San Jose, 4 games next week. They're the last team with 4 games. And then pretty much everybody else has 3 games. So a lot of teams with 3 games. So now I'm going to go into the teams that have only 2 games. So these are kind of like the worst options for streaming. 2 games in a full week. So we got Carolina with 2 games. So you wouldn't probably want to stream anybody from there. Dallas, 2 games. Ottawa Senators, 2 games. Tampa Bay Lightning, 2 games. So those are your 4 teams with 2 games. So you probably wouldn't be streaming anybody from there. But yeah, that's kind of the scheduling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that works.
But
Sure.
yeah, that kind of wraps up this episode. A lot of information, quick, but hopefully it helps you get some good young players on your team. Yeah, just another exciting fantasy hockey season underway, and hopefully we can help you build a good roster.
For sure. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. Or
Yeah.
thanks, Zach. Thanks, Zach, for taking the lead.
Hockey's my thing, man. I love hockey so much. I could talk hockey all day.
Sure. Yeah, we didn't really go over trades this week, but probably starting next week, go over some sell highs. I mean, what do you think?
Next, yeah, we can start. It's just the first week, so next week we can maybe start getting into putting some trade scenarios together.
For
I just
sure.
didn't want to do that too early because right now, that's when everybody's
Nobody's
highest on their
gonna.
guys.
Yeah,
So
nobody's gonna sell off right now.
we're kind of in react mode right now. We're not into trading mode at this point. Maybe even next week will be a little early, but we can start discussing things at least. So
For sure.
but yeah, this was a very fun episode. Thanks everybody for listening. We love you all.
All right. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. See ya.